Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, October 20th, 2021. This is Thursday today, and you can see this. My certificates. Trying to show you what's on agenda. Suraj_engineer, Suraj_engineer@yahoo.co.uk. If you want to raise some question, if you want to write something in connection with this talk, with quality, with safety or engineering, you can write out to me on this mail, surajengineer@yahoo.co.uk, and also another mail which is not given here, that is Suraj Singh, SurajSinghPE, Suraj Singh PE@gmail.com. These are certificates. Particularly this one is very important. You can see this, you can read yourself. It's not a big deal. It says about quality, safety, ergonomics, contracts and products. गुणवत्ता बिना सब कर्म बेकार. Quality required everywhere. गुणवत्ता हर काम में आवश्यक. सुरक्षा बिना सब कर्म बेकार. उत्पादन हो या उद्योग या निर्माण. No one has got any right to give undue pains to others. No one has got any right to condemn quality requirements, because quality is also paid for when product is purchased. गुणवत्ता की आवश्यकता हर कार्य में गुणवत्ता अभियंताओं के हाथ में है तथा उन्हें इसको लागू करना होगा. Quality is essential, it is necessary in every work. Quality have to be applied by engineers because it's in their hands. गुणवत्ता नहीं तो भविष्य नहीं. If there is no quality, there is no future. गंदा विकास होगा चोरों द्वारा, डकैतों द्वारा. क्या अभियंता गलत लोगों के हाथ का खिलौना होंगे? Dirty development shall be done by thieves and robbers, and shall engineers allow themselves to be played by these robbers? No excuse is admissible for quality failure. गुणवत्ता आवश्यक. अभियंताओं को समझना होगा. Engineers shall have to understand सिविल अभियंता वर्ग काफिल ये उत्तरदायी, बाकी दूसरे अभियंता भी उतने ही उत्तरदायी। So we are going to talk about quality system. Quality system that must be everywhere. It must be established by every company, every organization, every person. Even if there's no major organization, person is an organization. And this system is so important. It's not because of ISO 9001, 2015 or something else. A kind of system that is established for everything. If we don't establish a system, we cannot be called engineers. And engineers means intellectuals. And intellectuals means one who organizes something. So being intellectual is our duty to look after all this, and that's quality, safety and work. Quality and safety both are important for work, and before quality and safety we can say design which is also a part of quality in it, which is also a part of quality system, is how design is to be done. There's a procedure, set procedure for every design all over. It may be civil engineering design or some other design, means design has some procedures. That process cannot be overlooked, cannot be ignored. And we work according to those processes are defined. We follow in designs, all steps to be taken care of. Design is not done just by imagination or assumptions. It's done according to procedures followed by, or we adopt procedures. We understand what forces are coming on designs. When we design structures, we do analysis, and analysis is based on thinking, and thinking and concentrations. You can say, as I say, analysis is a very important part in designs and in whatever work we do. It's not only we do civil engineering work, whatever work we do, civil engineering, electrical, mechanical, something else, means whatever branch of engineering we are working in, every design is required, work is required. Even though production, design is patented. Patented or not patented, that's not issue here. This design must be very reliable, it must be safe, it must be for long term, it must be for intended purpose. It should meet intended purpose for its design. It should be done according to given specifications, adapted specifications of what should be there. Design is not a joke, same way construction is not a joke, same way production is not a joke. When we talk of quality, we talk of quality everywhere, in every field. Everywhere in life, in every activity, whatever activity we do, we conduct. Design, workmanship, quality. Workmanship is a part of quality. Safety, health and environment, and you can say whatever else. Training is required for everybody, and training is skill. This means that should not go waste. If you have skill, it should work. No ignorance is allowed, no acceptance, no rejection. Only if it is done, if it's correct, if it is applicable, if it's valid. When quality is done, is received, it's called professional work. And then quality cannot be achieved. We cannot call it professional work. We can call it waste of resources and waste of natural materials, because human resource is also natural material. Though it's in our hands because we have minds and we have training. Now we are going to talk about system, what system is all about. System is something that defines what I have to do. Yes, they have charted out many points, and there have been articles in our system as far as AnnexSL is concerned. AnnexSL is a high-level structural language You can say structural language, like this language tells you, it gives some form. This language has been drawn in some format. And okay, it's a format, we respect that, no problem. It's format in which we have to define ourselves. We have to define ourselves means, when I call we, this means organizations. Organizations have to define themselves, how they are going to work within that ambit in scope of that form. The scope of that AnnexSL, if we try to understand AnnexSL, this means it's something everybody can understand, because there are only 10 articles, 10 clauses included in that, from scope to improvement. From scope to improvement, like scope and references, etc., etc., you can check yourself what's AnnexSL. Most important thing is that we should understand that first and then comply with those requirements. If we don't comply with these requirements, we don't comply with our will, we don't comply with our determination, commitment, and we don't comply with engineering. And if we don't comply with engineering, this means we cannot achieve anything. And engineering means something we have to do ourselves, using various resources, or even resources, mechanical resources, electronic resources, and all whatever yes we have. We have to use those resources in interest of that what we are going to do. And I'm going to talk about various fields, specifically construction field, design and construction field. We are having a topic that's AnnexSL for EPC. And we know what is EPC, is engineering, procurement and construction. पौने 3:50 हो गए, 3:50. What we have to do, that's more important. If we can define AnnexSL, we can define all others. We have already discussed that is construction contracts. We have discussed construction contracts in form of AnnexSL, and that was contractorship. Now we are continuing on AnnexSL, that is EPC, and it's called Silver, Contract Silver Book. It's only name. It's like Red Book, which they say it's valid for construction contract. It's Silver Book, which is valid for EPC contract. It may be White Book or Yellow Book, later on we'll discuss. It doesn't matter which color, which metal is there. For the red is there and silver is there, it doesn't matter. I don't mind that one. It's only for reference, for understanding. Silver means here you can say silver lining. Yes, there is silver lining. But is there any lining? There's no lining at all. There's a red. What is red? There's a red book. Means this is only for reference. Don't worry about that. Question is, you have to understand EPC. What does it mean? And what does red mean? That is contractorship. There were many standard contracts before also. IS 9000 or FIDIC came into being. When I say red book, silver book, this is from FIDIC. Just like IS 9000, there's FIDIC also, which standardized contracts, whereas IS 9000 standardized systems, quality systems. But both are same. Both work for engineering, both work for manufacturing and system. When you have system, you can follow whatever you want. The system should be admissible, so admit everything. System should tell everything. There should be no blank in system. And if something is blank, it should be filled in according to specific requirement. The requirements will be specific, maybe general. Maybe it's just like we say forces or coaxial. There may be coaxial requirements. There may be co-requirements. So we have to try to understand everything and reflect that on AnnexSL, construction wise or EPC wise. We are talking of AnnexSL, silver contract, and that is EPC package, in which it is understood and it is claimed that includes designs as well as construction. designs, procurement and construction. When you do something design means you have to procure it accordingly. And that design means is responsibility of contractor as well as that warranted or that approved vendor whose design you accept. Because design doesn't mean simply design, this means it should fit in. It should perform. For example, we say we are going to do some plant facility. We are going to create that one for processing, chemical processing. This means it's not direct that we just use right chemistry. This is circuit, this is plant layout, this is process. That is theoretical, but when we do in reality, in real life, it costs billions of dollars. It requires land. Land should be coordinated. It should be near some water body, that is sea, where there may be reservoir of oil, fossil fuels, and we have to pump out that reservoir from seabed. So we can say facilities required. Refinery facility, then processing facility of byproducts received from refinery. We are going to talk about that facility. We already talked at length. We have crossed planning, we have crossed leadership in planning, and then we are somewhere else in that. We talked of leadership at length, we have talked of planning. Now, planning, if you go for close files, we are concentrating on planning. Planning. What is planning? We have to define something about planning. Spelling says plan. What does it mean? You have to plan whatever. Smallest object, smallest question, or smallest scheme. We can plan a student's timetable. We can plan a small house, how to build. We can plan our educational system. We can plan our national system. If you remember, we used to have 5 years plan long back. 5 years plan used to tell us in what direction we are moving, how we have to move, what's our objective to achieve in life of this country. Same way when we plan something on our own, in home, everybody plans something maybe at the time. Do not know the real meaning of that. We plan that my kids should be like that. They should have some ambition. I should have this type of business. I should have this type of job. Everybody plans. But that plan is attainable or not. That's attainable or not attainable. That's another issue. Plan is applicable everywhere. It doesn't mean it's a plan on paper, but it's a plan in mind. If somebody has an objective that to become an engineer or a doctor, this is also called plan. But what you are going to do with that? Point is this. You simply say, I want to become an engineer in life, I want to become a doctor in life. Just saying you think will do. For that, you have to set your ways in which you can become, in which you may become engineer or doctor. For that, you have to choose and study that can make you that one. And going to that study, you must have been basic fundamentals clear, must have been tested on examination, whether you can do or cannot do. And then we can say, okay, I can move in this field. Just a statement is not enough. My plan is that. How to achieve that plan, that is also one consideration. The main consideration can say, I will attach, I'll get this. Yes, you can get this indeed, no problem for that. But for that you have to work hard, you have to follow your path, and that's what is plan. Because plans are subject to failures. Every plan cannot be successful. Every plan, every proposal cannot be fruitful until we have to make it fruitful. We have to make it fruitful means we have to be behind that plan with full commitment, with full dedication, and we have to move forward so that it looks that I am moving this plan or this plan is moving me. Both are reciprocal questions. Plan cannot move me, I can move plan, and that's my energy, my fundamentals. If my fundamentals are not clear, I'm not clear, it cannot happen. So I have to really understand planning. What does plan mean? For me, everything is plan. Everything is plan. In engineering, we say this is architectural plan, this is house plan, ground floor plan, first floor plan, second floor plan. And then we say this elevations, front elevations, left elevations, right elevation. And also we say these are sections at this line, XX section, YY section, AA section, BB section. These are names given to various drawings. Actually all are drawings. We may call them plan, or we may call them layout, or we call them setup, whatever we call them. Whatever we can name them, but everything is drawing, and we can say drawing. What does it mean? You draw something using pen or pencil or using computer. You draw something so that drawings give some shape, and that shape can be called what to do. Whatever you have in mind, you draw that because you are able to draw, you're a skilled person. You know what comes to your mind, and when you draw something, how to further project it according to your mind. That's called elevation and sections. And we say because this information is given to someone for purpose of working, for purpose of construction, that person can do it. And all this is called documents in contractual world, in legal world, documents. Ultimately, plans means we propose something and we have resources for that, or we have to arrange resources for that. Whatever resources are required, we have to arrange these resources, and we can give shape to that plan which exists in mind, and after mind it is extracted from mind and projected on paper or on computer. It's called plan. How successful that plan, it depends upon how many problems it has, how many difficulties it has, how many errors it has. And when we discover error due to coordination, because we have communication of our mind, and we can coordinate how many drawings are there, we can coordinate each other with discipline drawings, same discipline drawings, or interdisciplinary drawings. That's okay, that's fine. This is, now we have to make correction here. There's an error, we have to check it. So that's what's in here. We can check each, we can examine each and every part of that plan. And that plan is a limited part. Once it is finalized, we can say, okay, we start construction of that plant. That's very important point. So when we talk of plan, we talk of something like that. So what does it mean? This definition of plan, we are saying planning, we say planning is to be done. But we should understand something artically. Means, okay, it's a plan, we understand this. Every common person says, I have planned this, I have my planning, my family is planned. Sometimes we used to say in the past, if you go many decades back, family planning is must. I used to say, okay, husband, wife, and 2 children. If you have, it's called good plan. It's called planning. And if you 10 children, 10 kids, you don't have good plan, because plan should be digestible, plan should be affordable, plan should work, it should move, it should thrive. If my plan doesn't thrive, it doesn't meet requirement, I can say it's no quality at all. If you have a family, for example, husband, wife, and one other kid, you can say, okay, we have enough income, we can raise up these kids in standard, having concrete standard, good standard, we can bring them up. That's what's possible. So we say planning is something which is very different. And we are talking of planning for project execution. There's another plan that's for project design. Project design and project executions, both are plans to an extent. EPC is concerned, engineering, procurement, and constructions are concerned. When we talk of designs, we talk of engineering. That is engineering. When we talk of doing that, means procurement is a part of that. So here specifically when added to red one, the FEDIC, to you can say construction and AnnexSL, we added engineering and procurement. The procurement is also done in construction, so we can specifically as it is engineering. And engineering, when we say engineering, this means we say to think, to concentrate, to think not once, not twice, whatever number of times, till we get into some reliable result. That's called engineering, because engineering means use of mind, and that mind should be used for purpose of using resources to some defined requirement. And we say plan means defined requirement. It didn't happen on its own. We included our energies, we included our inputs into that work which we call drawing or whatever else. Mind was put in, values were inculcated into mind, and results were received in the form of projections on drawings. Whatever is written, what is given is shown, is a part of plan, and that cannot be condemned. So here we are talking of design and construction plan. When we are talking of AnnexSL EPC, this means is that what do we plan? Here we have two plans. One plan has gone, which was done by designers. Designers was part of engineering, and they were told purpose by honor or by public demand what was required, what is not required. Even if we design a flyover, you can say we design road, or whatever we design, we can design sewer line, water line, or we can design building. No two works are same, no two projects are same, no two drawings are same. Every even areas, you can say requirement may be same, flyover may be same, but use is different. We may say one flyover is located in congested area, there may be thousands of vehicles ply over that flyover. There will be another one which is also in same design, but that is used as located somewhere else. There may be few hundred vehicles pass over that. So both are different because use is different. Same way we can use a building, we can call a building, I'm designing a building. Yes, maybe size of building is same, stories are same, but in one building maybe 50 persons living, 20 persons living, while in same building somewhere else 2 persons are living. So requirements are different, but structure is same. 2 persons are living or 10 persons are living doesn't make a difference, because we have to plan according to our standards. We have to plan according to requirements. What are requirements there? How people want to stay there? What's the users' requirement? And we consider all that. But wind will not check us, it will come. Wind forces will work there, seismic forces work there. Whatever work there, whatever works there, that must be considered, and that's part of uncontrolled. That means you have no control on that. I don't have any control on wind forces. I don't have any control on seismic actions. I don't have any control on rain and sunlight. So those points which I cannot dictate or control, those must be considered as a part of standard requirement. Standard requirement is that. But where we can be flexible, that is different one. Live loads, we can say something imposed on structure. That can be varied, and that depends on what use the structure is. We all know that. They have varying uses and varying parameters. A point is different here. We're talking about planning. Our plan should suit our requirement. First of all, this means we have to decide our requirement. This means we have to decide our ambition. We have to decide our purpose, objective. And that objective is very, very significant if we can understand that. It's not easy to say, or it's not difficult to say, but every object is every object. We can't run away from that. We have to understand this point as much as possible, as good as possible. So what do we say? Where does planning start from? We can say planning starts from very initial activity, very initial work, very initial. Say you can say x over x, x over x, y. This is the origin we call it, and sometimes we call it minus value. If you draw x-axis and y-axis on a piece of paper, in coordinate geometry or graphics, we'll say one where both x and y-axis meet, it's called origin. And on the right side of this O, origin, is positive value, and on left side is negative value. These are in reference only, means neither positive nor negative. Actually these are directional arrangement. We say if you go upwards on y-axis we'll call positive value, and go downwards called negative value. It's only for reference purpose, just to define some area or some location, some address. It's given. Otherwise it's graph, it's piece of paper, and there's nothing as such. But when we say okay, we define it at that time, we can say 0 0 we start with, or we start with from 0 and come back again back to 0, back to square one we used to call. So we can say our requirements must be defined, our objective must be defined, our base must be defined, and it should be at that time. It may be construction contract, it may be project, it may be design build, or whatever. We have to start somewhere, and both have to start. Even contractor has to start as well as owner has to start. Both have to start because they are both parties, and both have some stakeholder. Both are stakeholders. Owner is stakeholder of whole requirement, while contractor is stakeholder for contracting part, nothing else. Contractor doesn't care for land value, he doesn't care for something else, it doesn't care for what shall happen in future, but contractor is responsible for adequacy of design and adequacy of construction, fitness of construction. If it's EPC contract, and EPC contract, construction contract, then it's responsible not for design but for construction. So everybody has its own objective, and one has to work within that limit. That limit is very much defined. It depends now what plan is. Now what plan is? I have EPC contract. Yes, I got it, and I'm following it. What's my plan? And what should it base on? My plan is very different because I have to deliver complete work. It's like, you can say, like turnkey. You know what's turnkey? Just take this and use this. You have a key, I give you a key, is a car delivered, you drive it. Right? When you buy a car, what does it mean? You buy a car, a scooter, a motorcycle, or something else. What does it mean? I should say in our language, that is a kind of EPC, because I'm just buying it. I do not do anything on that. I start using that. It's kind of a product where design was done by the manufacturer, and then manufacturing was done by the manufacturer. So delivery is also done by the manufacturer. So we can say it was designed, it was engineered, it was manufactured, and then It was given to me to use. So I just took key from that manufacturer and I started using that vehicle. And same applies to buildings and many other, whatever you buy, cycle you buy, car you buy, bus you buy, whatever you buy, we got direct ownership after payment made. Payment is made. So you are using it, but what is life of that? Nobody can guarantee. It's only said, okay, for 1 year it's free service, then you will be charged later on. This is commercial, I'm not talking that. But what is planning there? That planning was done by the manufacturer. Manufacturer who's designer and who is, producer of that. Production is within the manufacturer's controls. While consumer, what control has? Consumer intended that it should work smooth, it should give best service, it should be in good condition, and that's sole purpose. Planning is different when you consider different requirement. And we are talking of EPC broadly, how does it work? How can we amend this? How can we understand this? We have understood what is EPC in last articles, last clauses. Also, we try to stress on leadership because leadership is different. We cannot define leadership in a way it's defined today. We have to define leadership in a responsive way. In a responsive way means we have to understand first what's leadership, and I explained this a lot. And there is no end to explanation. There is no end, there cannot be any end. Because leadership itself is unlimited. We have to understand this point. To talk of leadership, this means we have to lead, and that's it. Lead and leadership are same, so I use verb, and that is lead. I take out that leadership to be converted to lead, that is verb. So if I can lead on construction, I can lead on designs, I can lead on planning also. Or I can lead on leadership itself, because it's something different when I say lead on leadership. Because lead doesn't mean you have to rule others. No. Lead means you lead yourself. First of all, you lead yourself. And if you lead yourself, you can lead others. If you cannot lead yourself, you have no right to be called leader and lead others. So you can say this is original potential one gets in to lead and then plan. Plan to lead and lead to plan. You get my point? You have to plan to lead. This means you have to plan to lead yourself first. And then you have to lead to plan. Plan to lead and lead to plan. Like we can say plan, do, check and act. We say in these principles, plan, do, check and review. Or act. Plan, do, check and act. We call it generally. Plan it, PDCA. Plan, do, check, act. It's generally called. So plan is there. Maybe it is rough plan. It's not a refined one. Maybe it's not functional, but it is plan. And that function can be added if it's missed. So when we say plan, you have to do concrete plan. And for that plan, you must have thorough knowledge, thorough input based on theoretical activities you learned as well as practical aspects you have experienced. If you don't have practical aspects, then you cannot see on faces of others. You can't look at them and tell, because plan cannot be explained, first of all. When you do plan something, don't think of paper what you have drawn in. We cannot draw everything on paper and we cannot write everything on paper. Major part is assumed. And that is considered calculations. Some calculations are depicted and some are kept in mind. And that's how plan works. It is a specific one. Plan is always a specific one. It's not general one except some items. For example, we talk technically, though it's not a technical issue here, planning, but it is related to technology. It is technical world, technical environment, engineering environment that we have today. And we talk of technological means It relates to every profession. Technology in medical science, technology in engineering, technology in life, social sciences also we call. We can say plan is something extraordinary, which cannot be taken for granted. It should be understood very well. And we should have capacity to understand that. Planning is no joke, first of all. And planning is not just bar chart that we say, okay, we have bar chart, we are doing this. It's not just bar chart alone. Because this is a plan. We must have our own respect on plan. And that's why, plan is important. People say I'm a planning engineer. Some people say, yes, they are planning engineer. What does it mean? I say, okay, he's a planner. He can plan for me. Okay, that is to some extent that can plan. If plan means, it doesn't mean planning engineer. It means planning mind. It means mind that understands every merit and demerit point, that understands every action to be worked upon on that project. Every action must be clear to a planner who has authority to say, do like this. It means planner should have complete knowledge of project given for planning. This also means that if planner does not understand what is requirement, it's not that we can simply answer on bar chart. Bar chart is just the graphics. It doesn't mean it's a plan. It's just representation on some software, on paper, print out what I have given. Some people think if just give date of start and date of completion of some activity or a group of activities, it's plan. That is only very small part of plan. You cannot blank, you cannot be blank, you cannot be exclusively dependent on that, you cannot rely on that. That's only part. Until you know thoroughly how this work shall be done, how this project shall be carried out. That total requirement must be known first. Even that is not part of your plan, but it's a part of project. Complete concept should be clear. What is outline of this project, execution, how much better, what better, how can improve on that, how can we improve on that, and can we save something out of that? Because in planning various factors are considered. First factor is cost, and parallel to cost there is time. Time and cost are fixed in keeping in view certain concrete construction, concrete consideration. When I say concrete, doesn't mean concrete material. This means concrete base, solid base. When we plan something, we have to keep in mind that sometimes we have given something, we have available information and we plan, and sometimes we have to collect information by our own way. When we collect our information our own way, actually that is real planning, that is start of planning. And that planning means we must have some designs. We must have some total designs to do some job. And that design is also a part of planning, as I said before. A representation of what plan is, that is on designs, drawings. And representation of what is required, that is maybe in text form or some other form, given, and that's also a plan. Plans are different. You can say, as I said, national plan, state plan, that is economical plan, or plan for a family, plan for a house. Both are different, plan for a family and plan for a house. And we talk of plan of structure or house or whatever others, those do a lot. So planning has no start limitation, planning has no end limitation. Planning is complete process, and when I used to write in 90s, say 1902, I used to call categories of planning. In fact, it's not what category I'm talking about, it's my own explanation. How can you define that when we say planning? Means conception stage, then proposal stage, then development stage, and then use stage. There can be more. When you start thinking something, you got some money, you got some program to development, and that's also called plan. How to do it is also called plan. So planning should be taken in, it's not software, you can say MS Project or Primavera we can use to form plan. That's just bar chart, NAT chart or CPM, critical path method, or PERT, program evaluation review technique. These are only tools, these are only ways that what information we have got in mind we can put onto those softwares with some more details required, and these softwares can result in printouts of plan which are called bar charts, which people conveniently and comfortably understand, because there's no complication like it is seen on CPM, that is critical path method, and PERT, program evaluation review technique. So bar chart people understand, people think that this is a plan. I don't consider that as a plan. It is just, you can say, graphics. It's just schedule, schedule we call in. You may also call it in British language schedule, schedule, schedule or schedule, both have same meaning and spelling. So I consider bar chart as schedule only. Schedule means dates are given, nothing else. From this day to that day, whole project is the key plan, and then we can say another one, second one, third one, level 1 to 5, we take level 1, key one is level 1, then further detailing, and then further detailing and further detailing. If there are so many sections involved in that project, we take different sections together. So likewise we can say we can produce different types of charts, and we can correlate them, or we want to use CPM, we can use CPM, or we can use PERT, whatever is convenient for us to understand. But if you think it should not be made more complicated, if it's made very much theoretical as if you are doing some research work, don't forget that these schedules shall be used by those workers who don't have access or don't have that much skill which you have as far as planning is concerned. So your schedules are dependent on what you think. Sometimes we just plan and leave it, okay, we'll take care of that later on. Those plans never work, because bar chart is not plan, it's only schedule that you have defined. You know, a kind of writing it is, a kind of very writing, brief writing, memorable writing, but real plans are different. Planning is very complicated and very extensive work. Planning work in fact starts with when project charter is open for certain bid, and much has been said about project charter and company considerations in scope. Now what planning also says in principle, if you say, that includes actions to address risks and opportunities. Planning, or planning mind I should say rather, planner's mind should tell in advance what risk shall be faced, and if we have risks, can we combat that risk, can we handle that risk in a professional way, so that that risk is converted to opportunity. And opportunity means something we achieve by changing, by converting possible risk into possible benefit on project, because it's an opportunity. I'm not talking of money making, but I'm talking of savings of time and efficiency on project we have to display. We can say whatever systems of management we adopt, whatever objectives we do have, we must have to plan that. in every way. It be execution plan, it can be detailed plan, or means continuous work is done on that. It's not simply we take food and rest. No. There may be many points in planning that we have to consider, that we have to think about first. That's most important. Think about this. Can we think about that? It says here, for example, it says risk-based thinking to front. Whatever thinking do we have, whatever fundamentals do we have to first of all project it. Maybe it's not correct, maybe it is correct. It's only person who has written this, that person knows, and that person's too young or too old, what experience one has got, means it resembles to that. You can say once organization pinpoints risks and opportunities, it has to work out how to resolve, address through planning. That we already discussed. Means risks are to be checked in, to be worked out. What solutions are there that we can overcome such risk or such risks, and we can say, okay, we have done it, and that risk doesn't exist now. That risk has become a part of contribution on this project. Then we say what, who, and how, and when these risks were addressed. This approach replaces preventive actions, reduce risk for corrective action later. So first is we have to prevent losses. We should not think, okay, leave it as it is. We'll look after that early morning. I mean, it's a very open door. So at open door means it should not be risk-free at that time. Reduce risks for corrective actions later, and objectives of such system should be measurable, communicated, aligned to management system policy, and updated as and when required. It means there's something we understand in planning. What is that? So planning, actually it works in minds, those who are experienced people. Experienced people never go to bar chart again and again and see. Young people, of course, they care for that bar chart because they can't think beyond that. And those who think beyond that, they are professionals, they are experts, I can say, because bar chart is just indicator. It cannot do anything else more than that. But we have different type of indicators in our minds, and those indicators are operating, they operate all time, and it's very difficult to fight with them. You cannot fight with your own soul, your own board in your mind, in your forehead. That is more respectable than what you are. We can say every company plans something, every site plans something, every consultant plans also something, though it's not direct responsibility. Likewise, we have to plan what we do. Generally, I'm talking of contracts which are building oriented, or you can say some other material oriented. We know basic requirements of sites. It should be hygiene, we should be in control, there should all the gates closed, and when it's time for few minutes to release, those doors can open them. Planning tells where you are going, to what level you are going. You can say planning and monitoring. Planning and monitoring. We monitor also what we did is right or not right, but that can be measured first of all by guess, and that is by daily use. And you can say this work of planning can be done in so many hours. That increases capacity of everybody. It's no question of our caste or religion, it's a question of nation. I don't have any value of religion and caste when you can say nation is concerned and safety of everybody is concerned. For me, safety of everyone is important. It may be highest level person or lowest level person. And also quality is exclusive. It cannot be replaced. Quality cannot be replaced. Engineers can be replaced. Every other aspect is replaced, but quality does not. Quality cannot be replaced, but it is being replaced, it's being forgotten. That's very pinching state of affairs in our, not only in our country, by many other countries too. Human became restless, everybody is restless when you talk of rest. Company organization starts thinking on projects, requirement, project aspects, and all risks involved, and all other restraints that may come in way of project from whatever source, due to facts that billions of dollars are spent on whatever plants, facilities are designed and erected, which no company, organization may spend without a thorough consideration by its think tank. This paragraph speaks something. Think tank or do tank. Think tank is very important because it's your thinking and it's your group thinking. If we respect that, time, cost, and quality are primary requirement for some project. These three items, time cannot be changed until both parties agreed. Time was a quality and cost. Quality and cost are very important because you are spending money. You spend money on materials and material is delivered. It applies to every profession. How do you want to move? Nothing is very seriously affecting me at this point. We have to understand all these requirements before jumping over to other areas. If I have to plan something, even of a project of construction, though it's called specialty, but as an engineer, however, what good engineer I am, what bad engineer I am, maybe I am very highly profiled, I am lowly profiled, it doesn't matter if I cannot plan. Maybe I am very reputed engineer, but I cannot plan in a way the work should finish calmly, it should finish smooth, and it should finish without any problems. So planning is very delicate, which requires total study of contract documents. It may not take years to read that, to review that. Main points can be understood. Those main points are contract. Those main points are drawings and specifications. Those main points are very different. We have to realize that fact. When I say planning is difficult, it's not that it's difficult and cannot be done. Planning can be done in a couple of hours if we know what we are going to develop. What we are going to develop. What's the given task? Understand what work you have to do, total scope of work, as is given on contract or otherwise. If it's not contract work, it's our own work. What is to be done should be known, and that can be known through complete analysis of project, analysis of contract. Again I say analysis. Analysis means to see each and every part of that contract. We can say here, analysis, professional master tool for work contemplation. This tool that is in our minds, that works for thinking of mind, that activity is called analysis, or in other words alert, or in other words whatever it is you have to stand and think, because we are moving. So analysis of project, we can say, is first requirement. It doesn't mean it will take weeks or months. It won't take. If you have scope of work written well and read well, if you know scope of work, if you know size of project, if you know how much rush can be there on those projects during festives, if you planner or scheduler, that it doesn't matter what age one is, experience is important. If you think that you will be provided total information by site people, then you are in the wrong boat. Site person has different way approach, different way of moving to some point. Site person thinks differently. That point we have to keep in mind. They have their own problems, while planner has exclusive time for plan to think about. Yes, ideas can be taken, interviews can be conducted on site or on office, means what site engineer has to do, how your leader, project leader, what is in mind, and also about what those people who supervise our job in forms of consultants or supervisors. Everyone has certain responsibilities of quality organization. This responsibility means you should know thoroughly what work is to be done. Only then you can plan, and if you plan otherwise, then you waste time. Because connectivity, connections, communications, coordination, tying strings, one activity to the other one, may be complex project, there may be multidisciplines, there may be something else, there may be some specific requirement. And if you don't go through them, we just take part of BOQs and put rates in that, find total amount. That's not it is. Planning is a vital role of whatever project. There can be time bars, this is talk time bars, there can be patakas, we can say whatever is there. So a planner should be very open-minded. A planner should study drawings from engineering viewpoint, not from criticism viewpoint, but from help viewpoint. We use English, everybody knows we are big country now in those terms, which is called engineering. Planning is a part of engineering, and engineering is a part of planning, both. When we say plan is done everywhere, this we can say chart out way. Actually, it is a way. It's a way how we have to move. It's a track how we have to go in. But that is single way track. There's no other person at that time when we move on that track. Of course, those top profile personnel, key personnel in whatever organization, they say something, then we have to listen to that. Without listening, there's no meaning at all. We consider those aspects very well, and we must concentrate on those aspects. Those aspects are not very, you can say, misery. We have to think for those aspects in plain way as we think ourselves. I'm just trying to explain planning means what is planning. It's very important point. We cannot take it lightly, because if you take it lightly, it shall be done lightly. Planning is corroborative. It is to be corroborated. It's not simply that bar chart. Even if you show on bar chart, then you have to show it somewhere else. Just what happens actually that usually quantities are mentioned on bar charts. But it depends upon how many items you include in that bar chart. From what point of view we include from that, and is that same which you discuss with your colleague or your person who is going to be supportive to site in challengeful position. You have to respond to all challenges because you are going to construct civil works. This is civil construction, civil design, which life is more than 50 years to 100 years. Lives of such structures cannot be completed in 2 or 3 years. You try to get this point. It's very important for purpose of planning. So if I have a plan, I can successfully move on that. If I just imagine, no, I give you these dates and you control these dates, you work on these dates, then what shall person do? That person shall condemn that plan. Maybe it's submitted for approval for record purpose. But nobody will bother about that because they know it's not well coordinated, it's not well informed. Again I say, information reaching to site is very difficult in that way. Planning means total study. I'm not saying you go to each point on contract, but in essence what we have to do and what time is available for this, which we call in contract language contract data. Time, of course, price you have quoted should be lowest, I think, otherwise I would get it. But we are also concerned with total time, total cost. And then we have to talk about quality in approach. If we just move faster and faster, it's very emphasizable activity. We have to keep in mind all these factors. When we plan something, we have to go through all drawings, all specifications, all contract conditions. Planner knows conditions. I can't say planner does not know. But there may be some specific requirements on a particular contract. Sometimes contract scope defines something exceptional, which we never thought in dreams, and also some more extensions from public point of view that we should do this and we should do that. For me, planning is not just a tool, it's an overall picture, because I am going to do it. If I do in different way and I don't plan that way, this means I do not know anything. And if I know in my way, I plan it that way, maybe I cannot convince that contract engineer. Probabilities are there, in this way probabilities are there. Everything cannot be defined just, hit. You cannot define by hit something that should be considered constructively. But planning tells us timings. That's most important. We have already analyzed as a site manager or as a project leader total contract. Even the plan was not done. That plan was done at time of submission of technical bid or commercial bid, because technical submission or technical bid we call today, this contains various contract documents and bar chart is one of them. Bar chart is specific for this building. Until that is not well understood and is scrapped again, we can say, so planning means it's not simple young boy job. Planning means you should have first of all some knowledge of multidisciplines. Some knowledge, not complete knowledge, some knowledge. If we don't have that, I think we cannot plan. In that case, planning has got no meaning because we don't understand what we are going to do. We should know value of resources. Resources are unlimited at time of you think how to plan. Because picture is not clear. Even quantities that we think we consider given by consultant must be right. That is also misconception. No one can guarantee quantities because these are given for different purpose. And we guarantee when we can say we are given different purpose. Therefore, it's a very important point. We shall find quantities, but before all that, major points, major activities must be clear. This may be electrical related, this may be drainage related, this can be sewage related, water supply related, or some other service related. And when one makes we should have complete analysis before starting planning, and that is my point I want to stress here. If I cannot project contents of that project, that work, this means I have not gone through but I just priced in. That is mistake. You can't just price in because others say it to do that way. No, that's not admissible. You can price only after knowing something, after knowing totality. Maybe there's a price problem, you miss some price during bidding stage, and that price may be extensive, it may be many times costly than we consider. If that is the case, for example, that can be a case, then what shall you do? How shall you make up losses? Even sometimes 1 or 2 points are missed. Yes, if normal points are missed, people will not say anything. Say one plan broke, other plan broke, likewise. If everything broke, where shall you stand? If your desk and chairs are blocked, if your floor carpet is removed for cleaning, it has to be placed again after cleaning. And that point which is therefore that shall also go to base. So we can say company organization has a basic right whether to go or not to go for certain project. That depends on their planning. If plan doesn't suit them, there's no way that you should go for that. Now we are going to talk of elaborate planning or detailed planning. I'm not talking here of initial planning, that's already done because we got project. And there's no meaning in that plan at this stage because we are doing it on site. It's technical planning, it's you can say real planning that we have to conduct and we have to deal with. Now what points are there, should be there, you know well, because you are engineer of that. And if you cannot understand, no other professional can understand. We have already analyzed risks, factors in that. Where can we find problems, where can we find obstructions? After going through complete study of site as well as of contract, and what are possibilities that these items may be reinstated or proposed items may be issued, or there may be a case that after physical handing over of site, even then issues will be raised. So come with all that, intellectual plan is a must. It's not simply activities we have to do on site. All other plans must be kept in view, if not done before. We simply say sometimes I got this machine today, I got that machine that day. You have to understand. Planning for me actually is an achievement if I can do best way. I'm feeling some cold, I think. Trying to wear my socks because I'm really cold. It's very cold. Maybe I think 13 degrees probably. 13 degrees and this affects. So hold on, just a minute, please. So planning is that. I'm not simply inclined on bar chart just to understand what is planning. Whatever chart is chart, that's different. We have to be realistic, and that realistic stage is very important one. But we have time factors here. We have quantities involved, and we have to procure materials for that. If we are unable to procure that material in time, a barricade comes in. Barricade of non-performance. If I have to buy material should be there when we start work. Material should be there when we start work. And suppose date is there and there is no one to realize. There is no one to realize that material is required. It was not foreseen. It was not even placed in order. What do you think shall happen? What do you think shall happen? Shall we be able to do that job? It's a question mark. We planned something in papers, but action was not taken in reality. This means, first of all, we must have got approval. We forgot to get approval. It's maybe just an example, though it's not going to happen because professionals work there. They know what is to be done, what is not to be done. But as a layman I'm talking, I just planned it and I did not worry about procurement. And if procurement is not done, why we call procurement? Tell me. It is a treatment actually. We are talking in support of some cure. There was a problem. We had to use this material. We have to buy this material. And we have to buy this material on competitive rates. And it must comply with contract requirement, or you can say quality requirement. Whatever requirement is given, it has to comply with. And if it does not comply with, then we cannot use that material even if it's procured. We have no right to procure if we don't have that material specifications available in market. So there are so many constraints: quality constraints, time constraint, cost constraint, availability constraint. This means every constraint counts on its consideration. And it's not one material, every material. Particularly those equipment, those vessels, those machines, which are going to be permanent part of this contract, of this project. And there may be design issues on that, and that can take long time for finalizing which one we have to use, which one equipment we have to use, which model we have to use, and what's benefit of that if you don't use that or use some other else. But it should work as a system in processing, and it's very much particular for plants when we design. It may be electrical discipline requirement, it may be mechanical requirement, it can be some other requirement. Whatever we have to buy, we have to analyze accordingly. We have to make sure that that item is available. And by chance that item is not available, we just copied and pasted from somewhere just to fulfill requirement of building. It shall cause a problem. If we can't anticipate that in beginning, it shall become more cumulative. It will cause more problems. So therefore, it's very important that we cannot just plan blindly. We have to plan keeping in mind what happens in market at national level, what happens in market at international level. That point is clearly understood by engineers. That's why plans are charted out. If you have to buy randomly, if something is available at random, there should be no problem. You can go to the market and buy it. But it doesn't happen because it's a question of demand and supply. It's a question of investment, and of course, there's no deficiency of such problems, such issues in our country. And our country, as well as other countries, every country has different types of problems. Here planning means risk cover as well as risk understanding, risk analysis. Every leader planning. We have talked about planning. We have talked about company organization. Let's say here from that company organization start thinking on project requirement, project aspects, and all risks involved and all other restraints that may come in way of project from whatever source. Due to facts, billions of dollars are spent on whatever plants, facilities are designed and erected, which no other company may spend without a thorough consideration by its think tank. Company organization has a basic right whether to go or not to go for certain project, depending on its financial credits, limits, or budgetary provisions sanctioned by state or other available current business expenditures, which may not allow additional plant facility business currently for a specific period of few years, few months, depending on company organization funding potential. Once company organization decides on its charter to go for project, formal planning commences very immediately with naming team head, project managers or leaders, so that top key leader personnel would share all ins and outs of that project. Charter writes all details relevant to projects its funding sources, and all stakeholders involved. All risks should have been considered in all respects prior to agreeing on charter for doing project, irrespective of whether or not it is affected. What points can be considered? Risks in facility, construction facility management. No, not easy to list out in one go. System requires to think in terms of risks management virtually or and just not just risk prevention. Every risk and restraint should be studied in details to sort out relevant adverse imposing factors and to work out to eliminate those factors or to overcome them prior to risk starts entering into project life. And also such state of risk analysis can lead to get opportunity to expand business. Leaders must by virtue of their valuable experience, post academic qualification, understand what risk would be encountered on such project and what are possible resolutions to remove these risks prior to these position in on project progress. Risks can occur in various profiles which can be forecast, analyzed and understood easily by experienced and pragmatic professionals, and once such risks are evaluated, an alternative solution or risk solution and then essential. Yeah. Risks can occur on various profiles which can be forecast, analyzed and understood easily by experienced and pragmatic professionals, and once such risks are evaluated, an alternative solution on risk resolution based on its elimination can be charted out so that no obstacle comes onto project progress. Business process based risks are considered and resolved by top leaders, while site based risks are dealt with site representatives depending on each risk item evolving in during works or prior to works commences with. Scheduling we are talking of planners should not without giving thoughts thoroughly, you can say without thought backup, just chart out schedule. All impacts on relative activities are caught. Planners should not, without backup, just chart out schedules. Without thoroughly understanding and including all impacts on relative activities, bars, and allowing adequate time to resolve risks as pointed out. Schedules should be so clear to be understood by all relevant professionals working on project and all. Schedule should be so clear to be undertaken, to be understood by all relevant professionals working on project, not just be certain document exhibiting many colorful schedules without having any practical meaning, as sometimes it happens that planners just to impress management to do so. We can say now, without having any practical meaning, sometimes it happens that planners just impress management, produce colorful graphics, which doesn't mean anything. Planners must enter into thorough contemplation and discussion with responsible personnel and leaders who would carry out operations so that facts and problems are exposed first. Since planners own imaginations in into practical works which require team cooperation at all times. Examples for certain risks could be, as mentioned earlier, and after which project and contracting planners should think in same language as in, you know, risks. There are so many risks we have already discussed them. It's not a big deal. Depending on every site. And again I say risks are different. Project is different. There can be varying classes of risks which are not related to engineering itself but other social issues. This area is not clear. That is major consideration sometimes. We can say, okay, we have awarded you this project, this is your project, your contractor, even execution has been done, execution of contract has been done, but still site or part of site is not clear. I think that is a different kind of risk. If the whole bus cannot puncture it, who shall do it? We have many points that we can discuss on this issue. If I am going to start a job but I don't have that job site, how can I start? How can I mobilize properly? There may be some issues in some area. We should take out those from our contract. If that happens, we take out, then what will happen? We have different type of work. We are going to have different solutions. Design is not available, let us say, because soil report is not clear. Soil report is not clear because person who allotted that contract did not include all information according to soil requirement or according to survey of soil and tentative results published by the organization. Disputes can be generated, disputes can happen, and this is also very common. Design is not perfect, soil investigation report is not clear. It has been a difficulty for designer to assign what strength soil should have for purpose of bearing capacity. Designer failed to do so. Maybe soil investigation is done again. Could be. No way, no. This can be. But these are very limited one in professional world. For major projects, soil investigation reports are done. Borehole logs are prepared. Samples are taken. Value of N is taken. Bearing specification bearing strength is worked out, tested. Even where various types of services have to come in, electrical resistivity, thermal conductivity, electrical conductivity tests are done. That is interesting one that we do that. And believe me, all these requirements must be known to beyond control engineers. These are very significant requirements. Planning is something, I'm not going to risk details here. Planning means it should be reliable. We should not find any conflict between plan and site person or engineer who is going to do that job. We should not find any conflict among themselves if planning is perfect. But we have to keep in mind, while planning, ideal stage is taken by planner, but while planning day-to-day basis or weekly basis, site person takes from different viewpoint. Site person does not think that everything is fine there. It may be base, it may be slab, it may be iron. Planning something, it should be crystal clear. It doesn't matter you are in office as a planning engineer and you did planning idealistically, you forgot impacts of site. Site impacts are sometimes very difficult to handle, particularly on building projects only. I'm not talking of plants where space is limited, site is limited, storage is a problem, metal stacking is a problem. There is no clear access and it causes always some problems, and material is handled and rehandled, which also adds to cost. These points must be very clearly understood. Cannot be lamented. I still remember one example. I'll give example. There were some blocks were to be used, concrete blocks, on one project when I was doing tender. Then with that we're working on plan. Means it was given condition that 28 days you have to wait for block for getting this concrete strength. Well, I know that technically it's right, such conditions is right, it's a concrete condition and it's a block. But question is 28 days, why 28 days? My point of view was, I discussed with that manager of our bid, He said, no, no, it's okay, fine, there's no problem, you should 28 days. No, I did not agree with that. I didn't agree with that because it's not essential, not at all. Why should I wait for 28 days? This means whole site shall have trucks and trucks of blocks everywhere, which can cause working problem, handling site problem. Means why not to directly stack something where work is to be done? I wrote a query. No, this is not admissible. We'll test this something on fifth day or fourth day of construction of manufacturing of the blocks, and if test results goes away, we have right to take out these blocks and do again. It was a point, raised one. If I can test on seventh day, strength is required more than that. What's your harm? Give me explanation. Give me explanation. I told them in query itself, we will test them and maybe on 7 days, and based on test results, if this passes, we will remove these blocks. And other parties said, okay, fine, we agree, we have test it and submit report. So condition of 28 days was waived. There was no meaning. So such, it gives a relief because we cannot crowd site just by blocks. We have to clear all material as soon as possible so that site working circulation should work properly. There should be no major cause of concern. There should be no major cause of concern, and we should move freely on site. Likewise, there can be more examples. There can be faults in execution. There can be some of the problems in our work. We have to take that into consideration. And if we don't take that in consideration, we lose something somewhere. And that loss is very expensive. I am trying to explain planning in full so that at least those people who are not clear about that should be clear about. This is, we have two kinds of sections here. One is plan for approval and another is real plan, that's for our mind. That plan should be more efficient than statement plan. When I plan something, I plan in as many details as possible, and I will plan in such a way that no item is excluded and every item has to be given some kind of budgeting. Because in my way I prepare BOQ and all sections are available in that BOQ. Whichever way you want to go, you can go and see. You will find again the difference, which really pinches everyone. We collect out all items and we check. I should not leave any item unattended. Time is written for that item, quantity is written, and we can say likewise when quantity is written, everything is written, and we can say if we have, if we can also write cost on that item. If we can, I'm not saying, but if we can, in one section we have to write, or if we cannot have that on our Primavera, then we can do it on Excel or worksheet for our purpose, if not for submission purpose, because price is not all time open, even scheduled price is not time open, so we can copy it somewhere else, we can record it somewhere else against those items, which will be beneficial to everyone. This planning part is very important, as I'm saying now, and it's, you can say, a clown to, you can say clown to budget. This also give a kind of budget. I have to spend this much only on this item, not more than that. And you spend more than that, you have to compensate that somehow. How can you? And that's also a point of view. We'll take this person later on. I'm taking something else and talking in a different way. I'm not talking of arbitration tribunal or DAB or what you should do, because those are different people. And we'll take later on after this 14, 15, 16, 17 or over. This is 07. Budget, if you have, you see, if you have detailed budget, it becomes very easy to control a project. But budget should be realistic, and that is job of planning and cost control. Why I'm telling you in this plan part, quantity and rates, because we cannot change quantities. It is a fact, it's a fact. Now, how to do that? Planning is done, and that planning has to be transferred to work. Transport it to work, or you can say convert it to work. Every month, if you plan every 15 days, But how can we move without that? We're talking of support. We're talking of resources, competence, awareness, communication, documented information. We're talking all about that. That's major point. Talking about that. And all these are supports, very good supports, very reasonable supports, very reliable supports, without which you cannot move. If you don't have resources, what shall you tell me? If we don't have human resource, we don't have manpower, we don't have material resource, or we don't have funding resource, what can we do? Nothing. Resource requirement is based on planning. As we discuss plans, these plans clearly define resources. These plans clearly define resources, or otherwise we cannot control anything. Now it's planning engineer or it's cost control engineer or it's whoever does it, that's indifferent. Whoever is knowledgeable, that person should think of. When we say planning is done, means resources are clear. Resources are clear, competence of course we know. Then awareness is also clear now because plan is available. Every person is, every engineer is respecting plan. We are talking of communication, we are talking of awareness, we are talking of documented information. And these are all incidents that impact upon what we are doing. Points for consideration, and that is support. What are points for consideration? These are very important points which we are already seeing on screen. These are very important points, significant points, and we should take care of them. Planning helps us to know about material, equipment, and human resources. It helps us to know about, to quantify about, to procure about materials, equipment, and human resources. Capacity, potential of organization and individual, and what qualification its personnel should have. Awareness among all pertinent systems and its functioning. Written job description, work procedure, safety procedure, quality control procedures, administration methods, etc., etc. These are all tentatively, indicatively defined for advice. This also tells means what is job to be done by whom, and what about work procedures, about safety procedures, about quality and procedures. There is documented information is different than documentation. We must know what we have to do. Whatever information about system and procedures or process in whatever form, such as written text, maps, charts, designs, successful implementation, evidence of compliance of requirements. If we go further, we'll find something else also, and that is, we can say how company works. First of all, we have to understand that point also. And that is support for a company promoting facility project is done from state or nation or from public. State has to decide about project plan. State has to decide about project plan and provide continuous funding on an yearly basis so that project is delivered to site. to state in defined time. International support is required from companies, overseas partners and associates who are equal stakeholders within company management board. Company requires in-depth engineering support from various competent and authentic sources. Company requires support for land acquisition, its immediate development, and also company requires paid support from its contractors in all dedicated and devoted commitment for successful delivery of built and performing project. Support for prime contracting organization conducted. Support for a prime contracting organization means many types of project activities conducted both from its corporate or head office as well as from site office and also from its other identifier undervision. You may say support for prime contracting organization means many types of project activities conducted both from corporate or head office as well as from site office and also from its other infrastructure facilities such as its maintenance yard, which be centralized location to serve all buildings and other projects from it. Support is classified into human resources, mechanical resources, professional management resources, knowledge dissemination resources, and communication procurement management, safety management, quality management, infrastructure, financing resources, etc. Support resources required by construction organizations depend on type and working nature of organizations, which in current case is energy service contracting organization. In this case, organization is EPC, energy services and buildings, specialist contractor who would require support resources related to its different ingredients and total requirements, which commences from initial designs to delivery of project as a whole or as a part as contract agreement decides. Contracting organization may be a prime general contracting or maybe only a small or medium level contracting, who would require support resources accordingly. Degree of competence is very significant for required support resources, which would be required depending upon how type of support resources. Degree of competence is very significant for required support or we can say degree of competence means educational qualification plus professional qualification and consistency of experience with updated knowledge. Degree of competence is very significant for required support resources, which will be required depending upon type of support. A degree of competence also means trade qualification plus professional experience plus consistency of experience and experience with continued development of we're back in a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, you can just see it's important one to think of, and we'll be back in some time. It's come, it's right, okay, I'll be back. You can see a couple of minutes, I'll be back. planning continues. I'm here again to talk to you about that issue. It's a very important issue because it's planning and we have to be careful about that. Planning is for none but for project. It cannot be taken for granted, and resources are there which are very important for planning. And all resources are very important. We cannot just go for exceptions, we cannot just go for our choice. It has to be for project. It has to be for project, and project must say yes or no. We have to take care of that. We must care for all that. We must care for what's being done, how it is being done, what is analysis, what is synthesis. We have to analyze every issue, we have to analyze every part of that, and that's where important lies in. And we can say, as I said before, quality is very important from every point of view, synthesis, and we have to include quality in our planning as well. It should be practical planning. It should not be just theoretical planning. It should not be just graphics planning. It should work. People should follow it. It should be that much strong. It should be based on thinking and concentration, certain powers. And we have to achieve our results. And planning is a tool. Planning is a medium. Planning is a source. Otherwise, there is no meaning of planning. If my planning is only for show purpose, let's see this one, though nothing happens on site. Asker doesn't meet him. Asker should follow our work. Or every time if we have to revise, there is no meaning of planning. This means we were not foreviewers. We had no vision at all. We have to be careful about that. Everything is based on analysis, and analysis is very important, and that's why we say competency is important. Degree of competency vary from person to person. Degree of competency also means complete understanding of work applications with all kinds of technical and equipment support with decades of field experience. You try to understand this point. It says, degree of competency also means experience and knowledge based on maturity and work advancement to be conducted independently. Degree of competence also means trade qualification plus professional experience and consistency of experience with continued development of practical knowledge. Degree of competence also means experience and knowledge based on maturity and work advancement to be conducted independently. Degree of competency also means complete understanding of work applications with all kinds of technical and equipment support with decades of field experience. Decade of competency vary from person to person, since professional engineers are supposed to have engineering discipline and competency in designs or in the execution of projects construction, while a tradesperson would be required to have competency related to trade operations only. There's a difference, I repeat. Degree of competency varies from person to person, since professional engineer is supposed to have engineering discipline, competency in designs or in execution of projects construction, while a tradesperson would be required to have competency related to trade operations only. A general foreman shall be required to have specialist knowledge related to its area of work responsibility, while foremen associated with general foreman would be required to work on lower areas, but with full command on related operations independently. A division leader would be expected to have engineering professional degree with long years of experience with multidisciplinary knowledge for working and applications purpose based on interface and intercoordination. I repeat, a division leader would be expected to have engineering professional degree with many years or long years of experience with multidisciplinary knowledge for working and application purpose based on interfaces and intercoordination. A quality division leader would be required to have engineering professional degree with complete backup of code provisions, specifications, working procedures, testing and inspections, in-depth knowledge, so that all ITPs, checklists and method statements can be produced meeting trade and project requirements. An estimation division leader would be required to have a professional engineering degree with many years of estimation and valuation experience with complete backup of item rates, procurement, prices, required technicalities of various types of materials, and equipment with high degree of quantity surveying practice, and power to negotiate. A complete understanding of construction contracts such as FIDIC or NEC based formats must be known to such leaders who must have detailed knowledge of contracts and arbitration. A procurement division leader must be thorough on materials engineering for purpose of screening and charting out quotation, analysis and operational research over that. A procurement division leader must be thorough in material engineering for purpose of screening and charting out quotation analysis and operational research over that. A planning and scheduling division leader must be professional engineer with thorough knowledge of engineering and prosecution methods, with sequence of operations and application of required time for each operation. A planning engineer must have attained a status to understand risks and risk resolutions, or else such engineer would not be able to respond to risks, leading to keep area of concern unforeseen. Same way you can say. Similarly, site leader must have all engineering requirements with decades of experience and skills to check, review and chart out site issues efficiently, due to fact that site leader represents organization on front of project, who therefore must be extended all demanded support from other corporate leaders. Site leader must have all engineering requirements with decades of experience and of course skills to check, review and chart out site issues efficiently, as we usually call plan, do, check and review. Has to plan, has to do, have to check, has to review directly and through others. That's what it means. Site leader means to coordinate everybody, plan, do, check and act, and this applies to everyone. It applies to contractor, it applies to engineer, it applies to wherever you go, you have to interface them. Due to the fact that site leader represents organizations on front of project, who therefore must be extended all demanded support from other corporate leaders. Major requirement that all leaders must be fully aware about project requirements and about system applications, while in turn must train juniors to keep complete required understanding to an extent job responsibility demands. You may be planning engineer, you may be planning leader, quality leader, safety leader, construction leader, design leader, whatsoever. If you are on site or you are dealing with site, means you must know what you are doing or what others are doing. You can know only what others are doing. When you know something what's to be done, maybe you are not sure or thought about that, but you should know what has to go, what is to happen. Of course, responsibility lies to specific required specialist one, who is meant for whose role is that, but what that person is doing also should be known to you, and what you are doing also should be known to that person, and that called interdisciplinary requirement. It doesn't mean you have to go on thoroughly on that, but you should know what should happen, what's analysis. And analysis, once it is done for project and for every discipline, should go to everyone. This analysis of construction, this analysis of project, this analysis of you can say quality and all that, where major points are concerned, everybody should know about that by dissemination of information by that person who conduct analysis. It's a major requirement, it's a major requirement. All leaders must be fully aware about project requirements. It's a major need, you can say. It's requirement. All leaders always should know flavor about what has to happen on this project. Let's go on this project about system applications while term must train juniors to keep complete required understanding, complete expected understanding to an extent job responsibility demands. All leaders and associates must keep update. All leaders and associates must have update on system requirements as well as whatever changes are brought into system management structure from time to time throughout currency of project. If required, if essential, related training to all personnel must be imparted to keep them refreshed. It's refreshing training, it's not additional training, because habit is that we forget everything as time passes, but once we go back to that, we pick up very fast, with many times faster than we once we studied that initial time. Just as training regarding safety discipline is imparted regularly at induction stage and later on. Suggestions should be invited from all personnel without having any degree of agitation, so that what works in mind of personnel be exposed, and if good should be included within system. Can say suggestions should be invited from all personnel without having any type of agitation, so that what works in minds in a personnel be exposed, and if it is good, it should be included within system. Every organization is you can say got many resources or honor of many resources, such as heavy equipment, batching plants, concrete pumps, concrete transporting trucks, electrical equipment, middle level equipment, as well as various other classes of such equipment. Many big organizations have such all over the world, where development goes on and on. All major organizations do own many equipment for their projects, drawing benefits on their investment due to fact that they do not need hire all such machines again and again, while they are free to rent them to other organizations. Organizations owning various heavy equipment are generally considered having better work potential and favored during big bids, major bids, consistency and comparison stages, because they are they can be prospective contractors. All supporting items must be supported by documentary evidences. All supporting items must be supported by documentary evidences, and formally a list of such supporting resources should be ready and attached with bid strength. All such supporting resources list should be updated all times and presented for examination and inspection, if so required, by owner and engineer, to ensure that provided information is authentic and that contractors' assurance that such resources would be available during scheduled construction period. So again, all such supporting resources list should be updated at all time. And presented for examination and inspection, if so required, by owner and engineer, to ensure that provided information is authentic And of course, that contractor's assurance such resources will be available during scheduled construction period. On similar pattern, list of human resources and subcontracting details must be provided and demonstrated if so demanded by engineer for verification. Major equipment that could be presented on list being tower cranes, for example, mobile cranes, shovels, excavators, rock breakers, concrete pumps, trucks and dumpers, winches, concrete mixers, etc., etc., etc. This is support system. This is what we discussed so far, 7 clauses, and that was last one, which is supports. Support means life of project. Without support, project cannot be realized. Support is very important. As we discuss about leadership, we discuss about planning, we discuss about supports. Then we have left with operation, evaluation and improvement. Operations and supports are actually related to each other as leadership is, as planning is. In fact, these 10 clauses are interrelated from start of job to end of job. Support, when we say, it's big issue. Performance, as we said. If you take example of structures, we say it is complete structure, it's united structure, integrated structure. It has to act as unit and not as units of members. As we say, foundations, columns, slabs, beams, walls. We call them differently, but we have to remember, practically they work together. Practically they work together. Even if we design them separately, they are all united. If one is taken out, by chance, let us imagine one is taken out. If column is pulled out or a beam is pulled out, what shall stay? Whole structure shall be subject to collapse, if not immediately, after some time. Until balance is available, equilibrium is available, it will work, and when it starts to be out of control, it would collapse. It can happen. Sometimes redundancy factor is so high that it may survive for some period, but it won't stay forever. And it's not possible then to stay in that. You may say columns are supports, beams are supports. We may say walls are supports. But uses on slab, diaphragm, People use slabs everywhere. You go to whatever structure, you will directly be in contact with horizontal members to walk, to use, to ply. You will not rise on columns, or you will not go to beams to slide with. You will directly use slab. Yes, you can say slab and yourself are related. Slab gives you service while you use that service, but slab is not dominant for service. Slab itself draws service from beams, and service from beams draws service from columns, and columns draw service from foundations, and foundations draw service from subsoil material. Now, if either of them is destabilized, let us say soil is destabilized. Soil is destabilized. Chances of structural failure are immense. Would be immense. You may say we call them supports, columns are supports, beams are supports, foundations are supports for slab. But whole unit fails. This means we have to understand practical integrity of whole system, practical integrity of organization system. There is top leader, there are middle leaders, there are lower leaders, and there are then workers. You have to think a different way. Just if we consider roofing system, sometimes we say inverted roof it is. Now if, for example, we take out all workers from project, only staff and directors are there, what do you think? Shall project move? Project shall never move. Never. Because project doers have gone. Project workers have gone. Without them, we cannot do anything. Even if we are machines, we are all machines, but operators have gone. What shall happen? Machines shall stand idle. If everyone is there, everybody is there, all are there, materials are not there, what shall we do? Nothing. This means support, workers are support, machines are support, staff are support, everything is support, soil is also support. These supporting components of project work together. We may call them by whatever name, but they work together, and that is what we conduct in analysis of structures. Analysis we conduct and we get results, and that's where point of importance lies in. We have to keep in mind this factor, that analysis of structure tells us unity, it tells us integrity, it tells us how to avoid overturning, it tells us how to maintain equilibrium, it tells us how to avoid torsion, how to avoid eccentricity. It tells us so much. This theory of analysis or structural analysis tells us something about life, something about everything, or everything about something. Nothing is support, in fact, everything is support and everything is main. We are using this verb only for purpose of understanding. Just like our body is one, there are many parts. Head to toe, how many parts? We don't know. How they function? We don't know. So many systems of the body we don't know. Even doctors don't know. But until we feel pain, until we feel unease, we can say disease without ease. Until we feel some problem, we feel that I'm not healthy, we want care for. We want care for, and we think, oh my, I'm very healthy, I'm fine, I'm happy. From toe to head, I'm very good. My mind is working, I'm able, I'm physically fit. But one part pinches, even one error comes, one obstacle in your body comes, you become stabilized or unstabilized, you can say. Your stabilize is out of order. Stabilization is out of order. That is very, very much significant part of project science. I am calling it science because we are dealing with system, and science is system and system is science. We can say resource, we can say competence, we can say awareness, we can say communication, we can say documented information, we can say whatever we say. But ultimately is one, that we are one, we are united. It's like say every machine, car, truck, plane, these can't fly if one part is disabled, is removed. Same way, project cannot move even if you plan, because your planning is defective if some requirement is not available. Your design is defective if it's not completely done. It cannot be complied with. We should have broad mind to understand this. We can analyze anything. Somebody analyzed and produced these 10 articles, these clauses. Structure wise, you can say, from scope to end. But this is not sufficient. Sufficient is site controls, work controls, machine controls, manufacturing controls, processes controls, industrial controls. Those are main requirements. We can talk a lot, and I am talking a lot. I am trying to let you understand again and again, because we cannot cram from books, and books are not perfectly available. What experience gives you, books means experience, nothing else. If you have experience of practical work, you can write books. I'm not talking of textbooks, I'm not talking of syllabus books, I'm talking of practical books, so you can see that can produce something that helps something. We should understand structures of quality. And we are saying AnnexSL, whatever you talk in this is quality related, because this is quality system issue. You may be scope, it may be, you can say, terms and conditions, or it may be references, or it can be planning issue, it can be leadership issue, it can be context of organization, it can be support, it can be operation, it can be whatever else. Yes, all these have come. That's why we are talking. This means operation requires planning, it's a part of planning. Support is a part of planning and part of quality. It means quality also there. Quality is important there. Quality in personal, quality in material, quality in work, operational quality, text of organizations of quality one. References quality, scope quality, evaluation quality, you can say, improvement quality, whatever is there, all these part of quality, and maybe could be added more in future. We have to study them not from management viewpoint but from practical viewpoint. I don't like management term because this is something very old. We should give new term to that, and how to organize quality, how to organize safety, how to organize principles, how to organize engineering, how to organize what you want to organize. Maybe I'm not saying it's a command, but just my understanding, my you can say approach. How do you approach to your responsibility? So we can say operation then comes into play. Operational planning and control means, what is operation? What is operation call it? You may say, how do I operate? my system, how do I operate my organization, how do I operate myself. Like operation means something significant activity. Operational planning, operational research, one is basic research, one is operational research. Research are both. But basic is scientific based, operational research is work based. You have to work, you have to operate. Only then you will find problems, not before that. And when you shall find problem, you would have to solve these problems. That's what is operational research means. You are not to spend much on that. You have to study all operations, how they work, how they go, can they be improved. If there's some problem erupted out, how to encounter that, how to resolve that, how to set it right. That is operational problem, operational questions. It can be, controls, you can say. You find more and more ways how to control it. Those ways are really terrific. Means your mind becomes receptive of all these points. You have to start thinking. You start thinking immediately. If mind is fertile, if mind is really engineer's mind is always respected. At least I respect that, because this mind is based on something different. It's based on when it depends on thinking and concentration, certain power means it's different mind. You can use power of this mind into your work. So I see operation, which can be your own operation, your own organization, your personal operation. It can be machine operation, but we are talking about organization operation. It can be in-house operation or in-house process. It can be outsourced process, internal or external. You can use services of others. And overall process management includes adequate criteria to control these processes, manage planned and unintended changes. So you just, these are certain sections are given in-house process, outsourced process, overall process, that includes criteria to control these processes, manage planned and unintended changes. Means you manage, you plan and change. That is what we say: plan, do, check, or act. PDCA generally, as I said before also, that applies here. You may say, what we have to do in this? Company, preparation of bid documents to be issued to bidder, right? It's operation. What company does? Company which you call operation company. We're talking of that operation because they are operators here. Company or operator, preparation of bid documents to be issued to bidder. Company is responsible to prepare all bid related documents that are required to be based on ABC bids, and that is voluminous job. Words in one sentence on 2 lines: company is responsible to prepare all bid related documents that are required to be based on ABC bids. And these documents comprise of pre-feed, feed, schematic designs, drawings, all disciplines, requirements and specifications, and list of all codes that apply to project. See, it's very important para, both these, that company is responsible to Prepare all bid related documents that are required to be based on EPC bids, and this must comprise of pre-feed. We pre-feed, or you may say something even at budget time. Feed, schematic, designs, drawings, all disciplines, requirements and specifications, list of all the codes that apply on project to project. Now this itself includes a lot. Contract form is also designed in its proposed format, which comprises of lump sum fixed price for whole project, a part of a project, various forms for bonds such as tender bond, performance security bond, description of project time, damages for delays, damages for performance failure. These are very, very significant points that we have to understand well, very well. 2 minutes please. Okay, we're back. So we can understand here that at time of issuing bid and before issuing bid, voluminous works are required to be conducted, to be carried out by owner through its representative, who is engineer. Owner's representative, who is engineer in EPC terms, though it's called representative, owner's representative, but actually job is engineering. It's same thing as is done in red contract, red FIDIC, but it is engineering. We cannot deny this fact. We have to, where company is responsible, it's something that is extensive work, which if we use lump sum fixed price contract, that is done. There is no way that we can avoid that. Even if we do not calculate quantities, designs are to be done, Complete details of projects are required. Principles of what we have to do are required, which we call feed and free feed. And you know, feed means front end engineering design, which is very important, which actually is a policy document, you can say. Technical policy, design policy document, you can say what is required, what is possibility, what theorems can be used, what practical designs can be used, and how to develop them further. And we have to make sure that these are suitable for this project. It's not simply that because we are saying based on requirement of area, requirement of nature, requirement of how we are going to move process technology. It's not simply foundations or civil structures, it's every discipline involved. Every discipline involved, process involved, chemical process, physical process, you can say this can be mechanical, electrical work, electronics work, or whatever works are involved. Every policy is given freedom by writing, and this is what we propose, and you have to meet this criteria. That can be modified. It doesn't mean that once it is written can be changed. That may be argued with and discussed with, information is provided, conferences are conducted. And because these documents comprise various complete designs, which is schematic, of course, are working one, which drawings are schematic and policy designs. And these are not issued for construction, but these are issued for information, because drawings, that's designs that are issued for construction, shall be issued by EPC, post approval by engineer or contract or honest representative. And all disciplines requirements and specifications, a list of all codes that apply to project. You can say contract form is also very important document, which is a ruler, you can say, on project. Ruler in the sense that it's number one document which has got very strong way, because contract form and contract conditions, you can classify them, is lead part of contract. Though it's not written lead, but in list of precedents, these are included first, award plus contract form and contract conditions. Contract form is also designated, is designed in its proposed format, which comprises lump sum fixed price for whole project or part of a project, various forms for bonds such as tender, bid bond or tender bond, which is replaced by performance bond once tender is changed to contract. So these two different bonds, bid bond or tender bond, is replaced by performance bond or performance security bond. A description of project time, damages for delays, damages for performance failures, and various other liabilities, as well as various other conditions which are required to be inserted into contract by and between both parties, to be agreed by and between both parties to contract. Formats for key personnel, which key personnel are going to work on behalf of EPC, reporting to engineer or owner's representative. Formats for key personnel to be proposed by prime contractor, EPC. From leader to key personnel means number one on site or project, we may call it project leader, project manager, or whatever, doesn't matter to me. I call it leader, who has to lead whole project. To key personnel means controllers, various controllers, discipline controllers, related to all divisions involved on project. Formats for equipment, schedule, bidder, contractor intends to use on project. It's really, we'll continue this discussion because it's very important part. We cannot jump on this because of its in-depth study. It's important every engineer should know, because I understand there is a weakness in engineers in general. I'm not saying all. Some engineers are very nice, they have enough knowledge. Maybe because seniors have enough knowledge, but even then it's better to move around and show them. there's no limit for contracts quality. We have to make sure that I'm just trying to show you again on the screen what's in my mind about quality, SHE, ergonomics, contracts and products. You can read this